Hi, my name is Ellis Sullivan, and as I'm doing work for the media company Education Wise, I'm here to explain my understanding of media products and the institutions which create them. For this unit, I've chose to focus on the conglomerate 20th Century Fox. A conglomerate is a large company which in turn is made up of various other smaller companies known as subsidiaries. In this case, 20th Century Fox is a conglomerate, but its parent company, 21st Century Fox, is also a conglomerate. 21st Century Fox is in turn owned by this guy, Rupert Murdoch. He's been around for a while and in that time has made himself a net worth of around £8.7 billion. He's been working for this since the 1970s when he became the primary founder of News Corporation, one of the world's biggest media groups. In 2012, News Corporation split its assets between News Corp and 21st Century Fox, who now own all their media outlets. These are all commercial companies, meaning they're out to make a profit. Warp Films are a Sheffield and London-based company, founded by Warp Records in 2004. This is an independent company, which means it owns all its own assets and does not work for anyone else. In 2010, their film Four Lions made almost £7 million at the box office. In comparison, 20th Century Fox's Avatar made £1.8 billion at the box office in 2009 and is still the highest grossing film of all time, as of September 2015. Cross-media ownership is when one company creates multiple media types. These companies are generally conglomerates as they are able to own subsidiaries within various media sectors. Cross-media ownership is very useful to companies because it reduces loss of profit. In the production of a film, for example, 20th Century Fox would be able to use a subsidiary which is also owned by their parent company to produce the audio rather than paying a separate company, such as Dolby. This also means when promoting their films they can use affiliated companies. In this case, related subsidiaries include the Fox Broadcasting Company to advertise and promote their films. Without cross-media ownership, a company might have to go into joint venture to make their product. This is when two companies work together by contributing assets and sharing equity. For example, when making the film Penguins of Madagascar, DreamWorks worked in joint venture with 20th Century Fox, who distributed the film. 21st Century Fox's main assets include the Fox Entertainment Group, Star TV, and their 31.4% stake in Sky plc. These subsidiaries enable the company to use cross-media ownership as well as providing coverage across various continents. Other subsidiaries include Hulu and Fox Sports. Now onto the operating model. An operating model shows how the company does business in order to operate. The film production cycle explains the use of both horizontal and vertical integration in order to produce, distribute, and exchange their product. In the film production cycle, 20th Century Fox are able to use both horizontal and vertical integration. Horizontal integration means various subsidiaries all work together to cross-promote the product. Another kind of horizontal integration is joint venture. Disney and Pixar are well known for being in joint venture when creating animations. Most notably was Toy Story in 1995, because Pixar were able to animate the film, but because Disney are a conglomerate, they were able to distribute the film worldwide. This cooperation between two companies is also known as synergy. Vertical integration is when a company covers the whole production cycle alone to create their product. This means they distribute, produce, and exchange the film. This can only be done by conglomerates because independent film companies cannot afford to do this and would need somebody to distribute their films. For example, Warp Films often go into joint venture with Film 4 to control the distribution of their films. The film production process is the process in which 20th Century Fox actually plans, creates, and edits its products. This begins with pre-production. This is the planning stage, so it includes the writing of the script, creating storyboards, mood boards and other collages, sourcing cast and crew, creating a list of assets, a work plan, location scouting, discussing a budget, and much more. After the film has been planned, the production stage can begin. This starts with creating all the props and sets which may be needed on set. All assets must be obtained and ready for use, such as props, costumes, makeup, sets, and prosthetics. Then, of course, the scenes must be filmed, which can only begin when the film director and director of photography are ready. Other things which may be needed for production are pyrotechnics to control any on-set explosions or fires. Chroma keying can also be very useful, which is the use of green or blue screens to layer two images together. The final stage of the film production process is post-production. This again includes chroma keying and any CGI which needs to be created. In the film Avatar, this was an essential part of the production process as the majority of the film used chroma key or CGI. Now talking about product. Because 20th Century Fox are a conglomerate, they are able to focus on distributing their products worldwide. Warp Films are a small independent company, so they generally focus solely on the UK market, who can identify with their social realistic films. As a conglomerate, 20th Century Fox can access the worldwide market, so this does not put as many boundaries on the way they choose their target audience. One of 20th Century Fox's most well-known products is Family Guy. This animated sitcom is directly aimed at adults, with most of the humour being based around American culture. The show is produced by Fox Television Animation, 20th Century Television, and Fuzzy Door Productions. Fuzzy Door stands out here as it's the only one not owned by 20th Century Fox, and is in fact the production company owned by Family Guy's creator, Seth MacFarlane. As 20th Century Fox are a mass media company, they were able to broadcast Family Guy directly after Fox's broadcast of the Super Bowl in 1999. This means that Fox were able to persuade a mass audience to watch the show through the use of hammocking. This is a technique where a broadcaster places an unpopular or new show in between two popular shows to attract a larger audience. The show has faced an enormous amount of controversy, but since its debut, 13 series have aired as well as a spin-off show, and they have even parodied Star Wars. Speaking of animation, over the past decade there has been a noticeable increase in the use of computer-generated imagery, or CGI. 20th Century Fox's most notable films, which are full to the brim of CGI, include Avatar, obviously, the X-Men series, and the Planet of the Apes series reboot. Rise of the Planet of the Apes not only has a lengthy title, which is irrelevant but an issue I felt worth addressing, it also has a crazy amount of awards for its animation. The great thing about this film, compared to Avatar that is that the animated creatures exist in the real world, minus their human-like abilities. So you get a great sense of the lengths the special effects team have gone to make it appear realistic. Compared to Family Guy, there is obviously a huge budget difference, but this film isn't a controversial adult sitcom. It's a science-fictional epic drama set in a dystopian future with a well-thought-out narrative. So naturally, the lead character, Caesar, cost a few extra quid to animate than Family Guy's Brian the Talking Dog. If you feel like I'm luring you in with lollipops and fireworks to consume 20th Century Fox's products, then fear not, because this is where I tell you that they were not just responsible for the distribution for the first two Fantastic Four films, but they also helped to produce the 2015 reboot. Though the original 2005 version was a commercial success, critics particularly disliked the film, which is a likely reason for the commercial failure of the latter. I cannot begin to compare any of these films to The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, though 2015's version of The Thing thankfully doesn't resemble a lab accident between polystyrene and a packet of Wotsits. Judge for yourselves. Now on to market position. Market position means how successful the company is in their field. One way of determining a company's success is market share. As of September the 6th, 2015, 20th Century Fox ranked 4th in terms of market share. This is according to Box Office Mojo, so I'm hoping they've got the figures right. The site states that this rank comes from their 10% share in the market, which seems like a relatively small figure for a conglomerate, but what films don't even make the list of 126? This list changes throughout the year and is based on the total gross made from all their products. In the case of 20th Century Fox, that's $772 million, which translates to £500 million, in case you were wondering. And that money comes from 17 films in total. There's a lot of flexibility in market position between each year. For example, in 2014, both 20th Century Fox and the IFC released 22 films, but the IFC's total gross of $32.7 million is totally dwarfed by 20th Century Fox's $1,790 million. Another way of determining how successful a company might be is their gross profit margin. The gross margin of a company shows how much money a company has after accounting for the costs of goods sold. So in this instance, an independent company may be just as successful or more successful than a conglomerate. Y-Charts gives a quarterly breakdown of 21st Century Fox's profit margin. It shows us a massive spike in January this year, but other than that it has stayed moderately the same, around the 12% mark. It's currently sitting at the 1.4% mark, but they are expected to make $6.5 billion in sales. I have no experience in business sales, so I personally find all these figures quite overwhelming. Now on to competitors. 20th Century Fox has quite a plethora of competitors, but its most notable competitors are known as Hollywood's Big Six. These include Warner Brothers Pictures, Walt Disney Pictures, Columbia Pictures, Sony, and Paramount Pictures. This information comes from Wikipedia, which admittedly isn't the most reliable source, but various other sources show the same six studios, so I'm going to go out on a whim and say that this information is true. It also helps that these six studios are all recognisable to the general public. These six are only major film production companies and do not include the mini major film production companies such as Lionsgate. The wiki page also shows the parent companies of these film studios, all of which are competitors to 21st Century Fox. This list will constantly change as it is majorly based on the success and market share of a company. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, or MGM, are part of this list of major media corporations, yet they completely dropped off of Box Office Mojo's lists of market shares in 2010 and are yet to climb their way back up there, despite once being the largest film studio in the world. In this list of corporations, the only company who is not a mass media company is Sony, who own Columbia Pictures. Sony are classed as public kabushiki gaisha, Have absolutely no idea what that means, but in terms of film, they are essentially still a mass media company with cross-media ownerships. So the important thing for you to know about 21st Century Fox's competitors is the fact that they all produce or have subsidiaries which produce various types of media. The main thing which makes 20th Century Fox stand out from their competitors is their ability to make a profit. If you search for the highest grossing films of all time, you will find that most of these lists show Avatar and Titanic as first and second on the list. Both are 20th Century Fox films and both were directed by James Cameron. The problem most people have with these lists is that they are not adjusted for inflation. But when you adjust the list for inflation, Avatar and Titanic both remain in the top 10, accompanied by another 20th title, The Sound of Music. So I guess 20th Century Fox regard that problem as irrelevant. The important thing to consider about these three films is that they weren't only a box office hit, but they have won countless awards and are all critically acclaimed. If you like Johnny Depp films which are absent of any Burton-esque themes, then you probably love Pirates of the Caribbean. The series' fourth instalment, however, holds the record for the most expensive film ever made. It has been slated for its lack of originality, and it doesn't manage to enter that top 10 list at all. Whilst on the subject of Johnny Depp, it may be worth stating that 20th Century Fox produced 1987's 21 Jump Street, and aired it on the Fox network. This show is often cited as sparking his career. But unfortunately for 20th, they were not responsible for producing or distributing the 2012 box office hit, nor its hilarious 2014 sequel. 20th Century Fox do, however, have 3 upcoming instalments to the Avatar series and at least 1 addition to the Planet of the Apes series. So as they build this legacy of visually stunning films using motion capture and general CGI, I'm sure Columbia's taking over of the Jump Street series is not quite bringing Rupert Murdoch to tears.